Welcome on my first step ever. Here we cover and uncover the stories and the journeys that took many nights, that took many days, and that took many, many, many attempts, maybe failures, but a lot of learnings to be where people are today, and so that they can come here and share their stories, their journey, where they took their first steps, and behind the scenes of first steps, because that is the most important part, the journey that you take, the journey that you take from within, but also the journey that you take by yourself. And there's a lot that goes on, and there are actually many, many, many such situations where you are tried and tested, and that you can already find yourself at the verge of giving up. But oh boy, do these people who have made it, did they really give up at that point in time? Of course not. But then what kept them going on, and how come they are doing what they really love to do with all the conviction? What really went behind the scenes is what we're going to uncover today on my first step ever, with a very interesting guest speaker all the way from Mumbai, India. Please join me in welcoming Deep Vora. Hi, Deep. Welcome on my first step ever.
Hi, Ishani. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about this chat.
So am I, and we had a little, very brief chat just before getting into this interview. Not an interview, I would say more like a conversation
Hmm.
that we have today. But and I really found that you have such a deep passion to kind of be so candid, so true, and so transparent with whom you're speaking. And I'm very, very happy that you're here, because that's what we celebrate on my first step ever. So
Thank you.
before we move in and start uncovering and discovering Deep's journey forward, so let me give you a sneak peek about our guest speaker today to all of you who's listening to us. Miss Deep Vora is an endurance runner and finance professional turned entrepreneur driven by resilience and discipline. Her marathon journey gave her the courage to pivot from a secure career path of 10 years in wealth management, initiating a passion for venturing into the unknown with no prior experience in the industry. Now, wow, this is a very, very, very scary position to be in. So I'm very, very interested to know how all that really unfolded for you. And she founded Hachi Foods, a snacking brand propelled by unwavering principles and a bold vision to revolutionize the snacking industry. Committed to integrity and compassion, she empowers individuals to believe in themselves and embrace growth, drawing inspiration from her own leap of faith. Now we see very, very contrasting professions that you have experienced, you have lived, and it's going to be a very interesting story for us to uncover today. So, Deep, please take us through your early childhood days. Where were you born, and what were the surroundings like? What sort of belief system were you were kind of born? I would not say born with, but maybe you were surrounded with.
So, I was born in Gujarat. I come from very humble background. In my family, we've always kind of seen financial struggles. We've seen that we've really had to kind of work hard to get what we want. As a child, I always felt that anything that I want, I have to kind of really struggle as compared to my friends. In your school days and in your teenage, you do tend to compare people. So as compared to my friends and everybody, I always felt that I lagged behind, and I didn't know what my calling was. My friends were so clear about things that they wanted to do. I didn't know what my calling was. I didn't know where I'll start, and I was a very average student. I was not a topper in school, nothing. But there's one thing that my mother kind of instilled a belief in me, which was, about karma. That what goes around comes around. Being kind, being humble, helping others. So I think I was just born with that belief. Somewhere down the line, I became a rebel, because I always, like I was telling you, that I always had to kind of fight for what I wanted, and I wanted a lot of things as a child. It's not like I was a very sorted child. I think I became a rebel, and one such incident kind of made me take a decision that I want to go out now. I want to go out of Surat, where I was born, and I want to study. I want to stay away from my family, and I want to study there. This was a tough one because I didn't have any proof to kind of show my family in terms of what I've done or kind of grades that I've got. So I moved out. I moved to Bombay in 2007, and I started my college there. I had to take a year drop because of the course that I was studying over there. But I was all right to do that sacrifice. And that's when I think my journey to financial freedom also started, because I somehow found that I wanted to have my own money to spend. I don't want to ask anybody or my parents. Actually, even my grandmom who I was living with, I didn't want to ask anybody for money. So I said, okay, let's just do something on our own. I was studying from in college from 7 to 10. I got myself a job somewhere which was close to my office, which took care of all my living expenses and everything. So that I think went on for 10 years, where I
Wow.
continued working in a corporate job. I switched between 3 or 4 companies, but corporate life was something I slowly started realizing is not. Shani, they say when you don't know what you want to do, start by finding out the things that you don't want. And I think when I was not very clear on what is it that I want, because I just kept going with the flow, right? I entered finance by fluke,
Yeah.
and then I took up a course, and then I kept kind of switching companies. So it just went like that. And I think before I quit my last job, where I was for 5 years, I think I underwent a transformational journey. Two things
That's
that
very
really helped.
interesting.
Yeah, two things that really helped me here were fitness and spirituality.
This
So,
is great. I
yeah.
would love to kind of, come to this phase of your life and deep dive into this, because I think it has a lot in store for us to, from your end, for us to understand. Just before that, I'm going to quickly highlight a few things in your journey so far, from you growing up in a very humble family and the background. And as you, I think, as you talk about yourself, that you were an average student, you did not know what you really wanted to do, coming from the feeling of lack. And I think a lot of us go through that, and I believe now that we see that what you've achieved for yourself, it is just a testament of that whatever circumstances that one is born in, or whatever you are, you one does have the power to change it. But what's more important is what you have kind of shown so far in your journey, is that one must have that inner willing, the power to take those decisions. And if you're feeling unsettled, then you have that urge to actually make it work, go and find out what you really have to do. I think it's a very brave step that you took, that you thought of, okay, I want to be all by myself, and have my own, I would say, a little world. You want to take care of yourself, be financially independent, and that is extremely important, because it's not about just the money, but it's about the empowerment that comes with it for a particular person. And I think that you are something that you can do something of your own, and then you really do not have to go and ask people for what you want. And I can definitely understand where you're coming from, and it's very beautiful that you kept going on around that time. Deep, I like to kind of us to kind of go back in that time. I want us to kind of understand the Deep around that time. For you, around that time when you had just come to Mumbai, and you took a course by fluke, as you mentioned, and understanding wealth management, and then getting into this profession, what was in your mind exactly, when you were doing that particular course and you had started your journey in this particular industry? How was your mindset around that time?
When I moved to Bombay, I was a blank slate, ready to have my own story written. I think at that point in time, when I got myself a job, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I was very confident, because I was making it on my own. And these are just little steps that I took. In hindsight today, I find it very normal, but they were just those little things that I did to kind of have a good life that I wanted of my own. I was confident at that time for whatever I was doing, because I had a small little world of my own. Right, I wasn't answerable to anybody. Uh, but uh, but yeah, I would say that somewhere down the line, the self belief kind of went down, the confidence went down. This happens. Corporate life can do this to you sometimes,
Yep.
right? So I think started off very confident. I wanted to create a mark on the world. I wanted to create an impact on the world. I wanted to do something which was different, super excited. I used to watch Young Turks at that point in time, on
That's
CNBC at
exciting.
2018. I used to watch that, and I used to want to be one person who's being interviewed on that show. So, so yeah, I think that's how I started off.
I'm sure you are working towards it. It's probably somewhere there in the making still. But that's exciting, what you mentioned, just before your transformation happened, you were in the space where I think being in the industry for a couple of years, you started feeling that you were, I don't know if this is the right word to say, maybe you can share from your perspective, sort of losing around things about your career, about maybe yourself, your life. Because I think when you're living by yourself, you are not just taking care of a career, but you're taking care of a life, which is yourself. So, in terms of that, when your self belief started, kind of debilitating a bit over there, how was that a challenging phase for you? How did you take care of yourself? What were you doing, or what were you saying to yourself that probably made you think, okay, that this is it, this is not what I want to do, and then slowly the transformation point hit. But just before that, what was the storm in your head? If you can just share that with us.
I think it's very difficult to put one thing, one reason here as to this is what I started doing, because it's a combination of things. When it starts to go down, you're in different phases. It's like you're happy today, everything is going super well. The next day something happens and you're like, oh my god, where is my life leading? I don't know what am I going to do with that. So I think it's a combination of things. When I saw a repetitive change, when I saw that these thoughts are coming to me repeatedly, where I'm not enjoying going to work, I am not creating an impact anywhere, I am not growing professionally or personally, and personal growth is very, very important to me. So I just felt like, I don't know, I mean, nothing is happening. But also, Ishani, when you are in a comfort zone, it's very difficult to get out. I spent 10 years in wealth management. If I have to go back and change something, I would probably get out in 5 years. I would work for 5 years because I want that experience, but
Yeah.
I would get out in 5 years. But
So
no complaints there, because ultimately, whatever it is, whatever experience you had, like, it shapes you as a person.
absolutely, and I think what I hear from you is that you're saying that if you could change something, was that you would have done the process a bit faster. Like, it maybe took you a couple of years to come to terms with that I already know this is not working out, but I'm not just able to take that step for various reasons. So I think for our listeners, this is a good takeaway. I would feel that at this point in time, that if you are in that journey, and if you have been dealing with certain kind of feeling which resonates with you, what Deep is sharing with us right now, that if you've been in that space and if it's been for too long, I think take that step sooner than later. And by saying that, I think this is a very good segue for us to kind of now really understand from Deep that when she did affirm to take that step in her journey, that okay, I have to take my next step. So can you take us through that? What were you thinking around the time? Like, what made you so sure that now you have to kind of quit this thing and go to the next?
I would say, Shani, that for almost 2 years before quitting my job, I knew that this is not what I want to do. But like I was telling you, that it was very challenging to take that one bold step. It was very, very challenging. Around this time is where my journey towards fitness had started.
Amazing.
So I had started training for and running marathons. It started off just as a small, whatever, hobby or a very short term goal sort of a thing. But little did I know what this is going to turn into. Um, Around this time, I was training for my first full marathon, 42 kilometers in Mumbai. And I had to do a lot of runs by myself alone in the dark. At 5 or 6 a.m. is, where I would start. Now you can't run with your friends naturally, because the pace differs. Some will be running faster, some will be running slower. I was one of the slower runners, so you have to run at your own pace, and I can't run in loops. Like, it's very boring for me to do things, same things repeatedly. So I just realized that I have to take newer paths. I have to go on maybe main roads and longer roads. And I think one such run, where I was running all by myself, alone in the dark. The only thing that you're able to hear at that time is your breath. And I just thought to myself, if I can take unknown paths in my morning runs, and I'm not afraid anymore of dogs, of being robbed, or anything, we have a lot of thoughts, we have a lot of demons inside of us.
Yes.
So I said, why not take a path, an unknown path in my career? And then I just thought over it for a couple of days. I went back to office. I wrote my resignation email and I just sent it.
Wow.
I think here is where I was so clear in my head that nothing could change my decision. I didn't have a plan. I quit without a plan, which is the most scariest thing because 10 years of work, you know, you've never seen yourself sit idle. So, yeah, I just did that.
Wow, Deep. Wow. Firstly, thank you so much for taking us with you on that run, which changed your life, I guess. The realization, how you really connected, you draw the parallels of, with that particular run with your life, that if you can take the charge of yourself, go on uncharted paths on that particular day, then why not in your life? So, and you went back and you did that. You wrote the resignation and you sent. And I think now what comes from there is even more scarier that what's next. So Deep, what was next for you from there?
I joined my husband's startup. He was in a
Interesting.
fintech space. And I told myself that now that I've been so true to myself and have been able to take these courageous steps, I will not uh, go back on that path again. So I gave myself 1 year to explore whether this is something that I really want to do, and I'll walk away if that's not something that resonates with me. And I walked away in a year's time. So Zubin came up with an idea in between on some kind of a food startup. I just started doing some R&D on it, and I loved where it was leading. I mean, I was so immersed in the whole process. I was talking to chefs, I was talking to the purchase managers, I was talking to the restaurant owners, and doing all the tastings and testings and everything of the raw material. And I think I just felt that the inspiration automatically found. I used to be the person who would run behind things always. I told you about how I had to always struggle to get things that I wanted. So I'd be the person who'd always run behind what my passion is. I actually even made a SWOT analysis in my book, in my office diary at that time.
Amazing.
Yeah, but yeah, so kind of started feeling that something is coming to life, and it was almost like I'm giving birth to it. So when that happened, I think things just started falling in place. But before we knew it, there was COVID.
Oh,
Just when I
okay.
was planning to kind of take it off, which I did. I did take it off sometime, I think 3 months before COVID. But all that excitement, all that passion, all that love that I was kind of starting to feel in my body in every vein kept tumbling down. I was like, now COVID hit, now what?
Wow. So this pre-COVID story that we are listening right now, which I believe is one of the most beautiful, interesting phase in your life. From my perspective, you definitely have your own, beautiful phases from whatever I have heard so far, because I feel this was one of the most scariest time in your life, leaving something that has served you for so many years, which has put you in a place where you have your income, you are confident, and you have bills to pay, you have a good lifestyle that you've maintained, and suddenly you do give up. And then the next step is, which is exactly what you mentioned, Deep, is that you were not chasing something. You just thought, okay, let me give myself a year and let me see if this is something works out. You went on to experiment more things. You went on to see if this is something that would really, work for you or not. But you had that took that brave step. It's not easy at all, because constantly in your head you might have that negative thought, always, what if it doesn't work out, what if it doesn't work out in 1 year, and you're not able to sort of concentrate in that 1 year, give it your 100%. But as you said, that you gave your 100%, you did what you could in that 1 year, but eventually it did not turn out what you thought that it might be. But then in the process, you found something and you started organically developing that love. This is such a beautiful story. And then we hit the biggest roadblock, the COVID. So what happened then?
It was, I would say, I was devastated that I had just started something and I can't see the light of the day now. I'm just gone back to what do I do? But I think here is when my fitness kept me going. Because a lot of these, that's one run that I spoke to you about, but a lot of these runs have instilled so much of courage, resilience, and perseverance in me that you wake me up in the middle of the night and tell me this is not possible. And I'll tell you it is. I'll tell you I'll make it happen anyhow. So here's something I learned this journey of, I would say, self exploration rather than running was a lot of belief in myself. Because I've seen myself go bit by bit, improve bit by bit in these journeys, and how it changed me internally as a person, made me so strong as a person. So when that roadblock hit, which was COVID, my instant thing was, okay, what do we do now? Of course, there are times when I was very low, and I was like, I really don't know what do I do now. But like in running, you know that I draw a lot of parallels between my fitness and life. So like in running, when I'm running on a road or I'm running a marathon, and if something wrong happens to me, if say I twist my foot, or if say I'm so thirsty that I want water, but my bottle is over and I can't see water anywhere else for the next 1 kilometer or so. What am I going to do? I can't be cribbing about it. I'm on a timed run, right? I can't be cribbing about it. The goal is that I need to finish the race. So, what I would do is I would have an alternative strategy or an alternative mechanism where I would think about I'm feeling really well. I'm all hydrated. You trick your mind, like you fool your mind sometimes. So I'm all hydrated and I'm really enjoying this run. I'm feeling really amazing in my body. I'm feeling super fresh. The view is amazing. The view may be really crap around me, but it's just how I trick my mind. And looking at alternative solutions. What can I do now? Can I just lower my pace a little bit, catch up later? Can I eat something that I have in my pouch right now? And things like that. So when this happened with me also, I thought, okay, what now? Okay, I wanted to open a restaurant actually, but I said, no, that's not happening. COVID hit. So then came the concept of a cloud kitchen. So we had a space which we were just using for doing the weekend events and stuff before COVID hit. So I said, okay, fine. Let me just convert this into like a cloud kitchen, one room at a time. So converted that onto a cloud kitchen, empaneled ourselves on Swiggy and Zomato, hired my first assistant, part-time assistant at that time, and slowly took that journey forward.
Wow. So I think this is a clear, I think situation where you understand, when a bigger roadblock is, you hit a bigger roadblock is because you are capable of thinking of bigger solutions from that end. And it's very exciting, how deep that you draw parallels with your self exploration journey, which happens via your fitness. Because in my journey as well, kind of resonate with a few things, and I feel the first, when you're very low, the first point of moment is a physical moment. And to really move your body physically, then also sort of sometimes, it requires your head as well. But it kind of, I think it's like a chicken and egg situation. But it's very important to keep your body in momentum, your health being at its peak, because that really helps, as everyone knows, release certain hormones, which makes you feel a little better. It sort of calms you down, it sort of makes your head clear, and then you can think straight. And I think that's what I can see, your love for running, your self exploration journey with fitness is something that has really helped you kind of keep going on and really have that fighting spirit, which is so important. And it's very easy to lose that. I like that how our listeners can maybe pick things up from here, that if they are feeling down, if they're feeling dull, and if they can't really, find themselves moving ahead from the place that they are in, maybe this is something that it can help them, maybe moving their body, little thing that they can do today. That's in everyone's means and within their resources, that you can just make some move. If you don't like running, you can just dance, do something that really kind of makes things move for you. And then when you feel calm, that's the next step where you go and think of solutions, or rather the solutions come to you. So Deep, I really love that you did not give up on the idea, and you were sort of, even with those emotional ups and downs, you still kept through, and then you found the solution of cloud kitchen. Now before we move into, I would love to kind of discuss this a little bit in more detail, how this cloud kitchen journey really took place. But before that, if you can kind of share with our listeners, for anyone who's not very well versed with what a cloud kitchen is, what is a cloud kitchen? And then if you can just along with that share your top three challenges that you might have faced and overcame, starting your own amazing venture that you are doing today.
So, as you rightly said, Ishani, sometimes moving your body is the best thing that you can do to activate your mind. So cloud kitchen is basically, you have restaurants which are front facing. Cloud kitchens or dark kitchens are something that run at the back end. You don't have a sit down, you don't have a place where people can come in and dine in, but it's something where you work behind the scenes. So you work in the kitchen, you list yourselves on whatever online e-com channels, and you serve the food from there. You've obviously got to have a brand for it, like you call it whatever, food license and stuff, and that's how it starts. Challenges came to me was something that I didn't realize at the time that I was starting it up. One is the amount of marketing spends that you have to. In today's world, there are very, very few things that are organic. And if you really want your restaurant or your brand to come up and be visible to people, you gotta pay for it. So I think
Yes.
that is something that was one of the major, major challenges. The second challenge was stuff and inventory. When you do not know how many orders you're going to get in a day, how do you plan inventory? You can't. There's a lot of wastage that happens. You can't have 20 people working at a time. When you're just starting out, you don't know. You're not funded. You don't know how this will kind of be. So yeah, I mean, staffing is another challenge. How do you plan for the staff? How do you plan how many people you should be hiring, etc. And I think the third major challenge would be to in the business that I was doing, to maintain standardization of the product, which we had cracked to quite an extent, giving a standardized product. So I think yeah, these three would be the top challenges.
This is excellent. And I think I definitely would say that you probably picked up a very challenging business model, I would say, around that time in COVID. And because it takes a lot of a first couple of orders, a first couple of months, few months, to kind of really understand that how many staff is really required, and what kind of menu you need to really have, what's selling, what's not selling, what to cut down. It's a lot of exploration. And yes, very rightly said that one really needs to be out there, spend a lot on marketing, because how would people really come to know? And once they know, they've tasted, that's how then the word of mouth and everything starts spreading. So that's very exciting. So thank you so much, Deep, for taking us through your journey from your childhood to how amazingly independent and a growth minded person you had become, and from there taking the bravest step to listening to your heart and taking that plunge, trying out things, and finally being in a place where you have something of your own which you're really organically enjoying and learning on the go. So before we wrap up, I would love to kind of just open this platform for you. If you would like to share something in your journey, if you feel like it's a highlight and you would want our listeners to really know about that.
Well, so the business that we are talking about, when we started a cloud kitchen, didn't go as planned, and that's when we kind of had to shut it down and then start with the gourmet snacking. But here's something, there was no issue in terms of finances or anything, but it was just the need for realizing how important is healthy snacking today. and wanted to be in the good for you kind of segment. See, if you like, something, you want the taste to be good. If you want to eat something, the taste has to be good. If the taste is not good, you're not gonna put it in your body, and that's usually a problem with foods which we claim as healthy. So we wanted to be. I realized that need pretty early on, and I wanted to be somebody where we create food, we create the snacks that people can truly, truly relish, but at the same time, they need to be really tasty. They
Love it.
can't be healthy. Healthy has to be tasty. Otherwise, it's not fun, right? As Indians, I think we're so used to having very tasty fried food, etc. since childhood, the mithais and everything, that it's difficult to make that shift. But today, the world is moving towards that, and that's what I kind of saw an opportunity, and I pivoted. So we shut the dark kitchen down and we pivoted to gourmet snacking. And we're very true to our values in the sense where we do not use any kind of preservatives or additives. It's not something that I can't give my 80, 87 or 88-year-old granny when she's unwell. It's something that anybody can have. So that was the ethos behind it.
I love this, Deep. What a journey you have taken from, first understanding yourself, making kind of creating those values, those paths for yourself, and then exploring and experimenting. You stopped chasing things and then it started slowly coming to you. And as we see that it did not happen in the very first go, you were in a fintech space, sort of did not work out. And then from there you segue into, food industry. You were hit with a roadblock, but you still went ahead. You ventured into cloud kitchen, and then you realize that this is definitely the industry that you want to be, but this is not the space or the ethos that you want to run by. And then came what you're doing at present, which is the gourmet snacking, which is healthy snacking. And I think you've picked the right thing by saying that healthy can also be tasty, and it has to be tasty. Otherwise, how are we going to put that in our stomach? So thank you so much, Deep. I think not just about your business and just about what your business is selling, but I think it was amazing to know you as a business person and as a person itself, as a human, your journey. And I think that kind of pumps a lot of blood in your professional life as well, from where you understand what kind of a person is running a business, what kind of a journey they have taken, what their values and their ethos are, as you mentioned. So thank you so much for being on my first step ever. I am extremely, extremely honored, and I know the viewers and our listeners, anyone who is glued to us till now, would have really seen that you have really taken us journey step by step and really went out of your comfort zone, and that's where things started happening for you. And I always request my guest speakers to leave our listeners with a thought or a saying that they really resonate with.
Something that I truly resonate with is this one line that I kind of keep reminding myself: believe in yourself, because if you don't, nobody else will. We all have that magic within us. It's just kind of waiting to be unleashed. So don't let any kind of noise or anything, bother you. Just be strong. Believe that you can, and you sure will.
Love it. And very, very coincidentally, we also sort of wrap up the episodes by similar thought process. But before that, I'd like to say that I know whoever is glued to us till now and listening to us, you would love to kind of know a bit more about Deep Vora. So I will leave all the links in the show notes below. On that note, as I always like to tell my listeners, that start believing in yourself and keep believing in yourself. See you until next time. Take care.